Hi, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Jelena.
Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to do a tutorial on URDHVA DHANURASANA. URDHVA means
Upward.
Dhanura.
Bow.
Yep.
Let's do this.
Upward bow pose. And this is sometimes called chakrasana in other traditions. We call it upward bow in Ashtanga. And actually, we've already done a tutorial on this, but we did URDHVA DHANURASANA for beginners. And I'll put a link up so you can check that out. And you should also take a moment and hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. And you could like it, or you could
comment. Comment letting us know what you want to see, or after you finish watching this, giving us constructive feedback.
But everyone's quite nice, really. We don't.
Yeah, they're really nice.
We don't get
nice
too many
here.
unconstructive feedbacks. Okay, so we're doing this because we've gotten a few requests for the full version of the pose. So, like I said, we have that beginner's tutorial one, but now we'll do just the full expression of it when you're working on it, without props, as we do.
As we do.
In Ashtanga.
Yeah, it's a hard pose.
Yeah, it's a hard pose. So it doesn't show up until usually later in the practice. So if you're learning traditionally in a Mysore setting, Mysore style setting, where it's self-practice under the guidance of a teacher in a group, then usually if a person's learning, they're gonna learn postures up to about Navasana, halfway through primary series before URDHVA DHANURASANA is introduced. It's not a beginner's posture for most people.
No.
Yeah.
And it's this pose, like many other poses where we kind of invert ourselves. At first, everything makes sense. And then once you go into the position, then getting your body to do what you want it to do, it becomes a different story. And it takes a little bit of while to develop that kind of awareness.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, proprioceptively things get a little mixed up.
Yeah, like what's front, what's back.
Yeah. Yeah, but once you get this pose, it's great. It's so good for you. And particularly when you're doing primary series, you do all those URDHVA Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog throughout. But this is really the only other back bend pose that you go deep into. And it can really open you up.
Yeah, and when it comes to a back bend, you shouldn't feel any pinching pain anywhere. Back bends are about opening the front line of the body, so you can feel the difficulty of it, and you can feel kind of your muscle and the tension and the stretching, but you shouldn't feel any of those collapse-like, needle-like heat points in your body, and especially not anywhere in your back.
Yeah. The suffering should be spread evenly through your body, right? Everything should hurt, not just one thing. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
What does it look like? Let's watch. So we start on our back. The feet are on the floor, knees are bent, hands come back by the ears. We'll go over all the details in a second. And then from here, we would go Nava, inhale, come up. Ashta is the preparation. Nava, inhale, come up. And you hold for 5. On the 5th exhale, you come down just onto the crown of the head. Maybe come in a little deeper if you can. And again, Nava, inhale, come up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's Nasagara Drishti. And then come down. And then one more time. So we do three sets of 5 breaths. Inhale, Nava, come back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Dasha, exhale, you come all the way down. And then we do the Chakrasana Vinyasa. We don't have to do that now. We have another tutorial on that. You can check it out. That's the backward somersault, or you roll up and do a jump back. And that would be on Yekadasha. Okay, so that's URDHVA DHANURASANA. So let's talk about how we set up the hands while Jelena's in position. When you bring your hands back by your head, try to stack your elbows over your wrists. So this is tricky. This is a good time to have a life form because you can use the lines on the mat to kind of get, even position with the hands. If you have one tight shoulder, it's hard to figure out when they're in the right spot. So we want to make sure that the elbow is stacked directly over the wrist so that we can access the strength of our shoulder properly and keep our wrists safe. And what tends to happen is that when we have tighter shoulders, which is really common, right, starting, that getting into this position, the elbow is angled out to the side, not over the wrist. And it's almost impossible to get into that spot. So we would recommend turning your hand slightly out away from center. So that's turning the fingers out away from your head. And that'll help steer the elbows in. Okay? And then also just make sure that you're not putting your hands too close to your shoulders, right? So you don't want them too far back, but you don't want them too far forward either. Just straight under. And then when you come up, we'll do it more deeply in a second, just try to keep your elbows in line with the shoulders. Don't let them open out to the sides as you lift. Sometimes we do that like a kind of a snatching sensation. You know, we try to go quick and we collapse. So we want to keep the elbows pointing more or less towards the back as we come up. All right? Then, should we look at the feet?
Mm-hmm.
Did I get everything with the hands? Did I miss anything?
Turn. I think you got it.
All right.
I was kind of half listening.
I don't blame her. Okay, so feet. We want the feet a little wider than the hips. Don't do this. Don't start by grabbing your ankles and pulling your heels right up against your bum. For most people, because look where the knees are relative to the feet. See how her knees are pitched so far forward? So there's not a ton of stability in this position when you're putting pressure down through the foot. Also, you're starting with a very tight position where, you know, your feet are drawn back close to the hands. And so if you're not super flexy, it's going to be hard to come up. Instead, put your fingers on the floor so that when your heels are down, your fingertips touch the heels. And that's also going to help you make sure that your feet are about shoulder width apart. All right, and then ideally you'll keep your toes pointing straight forward, but you might need to turn them out to the side just a little bit. A little bit is fine. It's not a big deal. Just avoid turning them too far out. Your knees will collapse out to the side too much, and you'll kind of collapse into your lower back because the external rotators will be super active. Your glute medius will be squeezed. Okay, so now we've got the feet into position. We can bring the hands back by the ears. Watch this. This is really important. Watch what Jelena does with her hips. She's going to go into an anterior tilt. Can you see it? So she's creating a little bit of space under her lower back. Did you get it? And that is going to set her up nicely for the back bend. But it's a little bit counterintuitive. You're probably, if you don't try to go into the anterior tilt, you're going to lead with that posterior tilt, tucking under and flattening in your lower back. See how it feels if you go to the anterior tilt. Your legs are going to be a lot more active. What we're trying to do is use the legs as the primary hip extensors first. So we're going to really push down through the heels, keep the bum heavy, keep the anterior tilt, and now as you come up, you can come onto the crown of the head first, break the movement up at first, and here, hold the anterior tilt, so keep letting your bum drop, your lower back is still arched. Now reach back through your elbows, reach the elbows towards the back of the mat, press through the feet, and your chest goes towards the back of the mat. So the shoulders come over the wrists. Don't lift up with your shoulders forward of your wrists like Jelena is doing here. It's not great for your wrists. It's not great for your shoulders. Try to use the strength of the legs to press the weight back into the hands, and you'll get this really nice opening in the upper back, in the chest, and then also you'll feel a great stretch across the front line of the hips. Then as you deepen it, so remember we come up here for the first 5 breaths and then exhale, come down, then we walk the hands in. Walking the hands in is bringing the hands closer to the feet. So you always walk the hands towards the feet, never the feet towards the hands. Feet stay grounded. That's going to slowly start to deepen the extension in the spine. You're still trying to get your shoulders over your wrists, but this is slowly tipping the weight forward into the feet more and more. The legs will get more and more active here. Keep trying not to let the legs collapse out too far to the side and squeezing the glutes too much. If the glutes squeeze together, if they're really clenched, you're probably going to start to feel discomfort in your lower back. So you can see Jelena's heels turn in towards each other, the toes turn out. A little bit of that is okay. Too much of it leads to compression in the lower back. Try to keep the feet more or less pointing forward, heels pressing down, and then the glutes can be active a little bit, but not clenched. Try not to squeeze them together. And then you'll find a lot more ease in your back bend. How's that feel?
It feels nice. I know I'm doing it right because for me, there's a lot of sensation across my belly and in my hip flexors. And then I also feel like a deep opening in my thoracic spine, so between the scapulas.
Instead of feeling
Lower.
lower back pinching, squeezing, compression.
Yeah, the moment I squeeze my bum, that's what shows up for me. So, if you can squeeze your bum and you feel no discomfort in your back, then fine.
Yeah.
You can keep squeezing it. But then we also say, can you control it? Can you actually be in control of the muscles in your body? So it's always good to learn it, but it doesn't mean that that's how you have to do it. But we would say for 99% of the people we teach and help out, including ourselves, if your glutes are doing all the work, it's gonna create tension in the lower back.
Yeah, I'd say the issue, when the glutes do all the work, the legs don't. And that's part of the problem too. If the legs aren't supporting you in a back bend, then that's when you tend to collapse.
Yeah, and then you start losing the shape, and you can even start to feel sometimes things coming across your knee, like the muscle pulling across because the knees are too turned out, and then you're going into a vulnerable position, especially as you start adding that rocking and starting to attempt coming to standing and dropping back.
Yeah, so that's the next thing that you're going to work on. Once you start to feel good in URDHVA DHANURASANA, usually when you get to the end of primary series as well in Ashtanga, then you would introduce the work of coming up to standing and dropping back. And we have a tutorial on that too. And so we'll share a link to it here, and we'll put it at the end of the video as well, so you can watch it there if you're interested.
Mm-hmm. But it is a difficult pose. We're going beyond kind of the average range of motion for most of us. And so you always used to say this when we teach, like what comes intuitively to us in these instances isn't necessarily the technique that will take us deeper, safer. So we have to really start becoming aware of all the engagements, really focusing on the pelvic floor. So finding that lift like deep within us, as well as the transverse abdominal muscles, feeling them engage, and then holding on to that work as we go into a back bend, which, it's already difficult to connect to your pelvic floor and keep it engaged. And now we're going, opposite way. We're opening this way, so that will get challenged even more. But in fact, you need to find even deeper and stronger engagement. So, yeah, it's hard.
It's hard, but important, because it opens up the front line of the body, balances out a lot of the work of the forward bending that you do in the rest of primary series. So it's worth putting your energy into. Yeah,
just slow it down at first, break it down, and then very quickly your body starts to integrate it and it becomes part of your movement.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay, good luck.
Oh, this shirt was made by my favorite fans, or my number one fans, which are my nieces, Katya and Nia. So I love you. Thank you. They watch all of these videos.
Okay.
They do.
You haven't made me one yet, Katya. Yeah. So.
Techo's now upset.
Yeah, we do accept gifts, just so you know. Feel free to mail them into our studio. At the very least, like, subscribe, and comment.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.